the stage to share his story.
Hi everybody, my name is Abrams, and I am so proud to be the mom of the best teenager in Pennsylvania, Kionne Reese Abrams. Kionne lives right here at State College with me and my husband Dylan. He is thriving as a middle schooler. He's also a competitive gymnast, and he's a dog whisperer to Fred and Scotty, our two poodles at home. Kionne has been asking for a year to stay overnight at THON, and I am excited to tell you we are going on 36 hours alongside Kionne. Because our journey is so different from most Four Diamonds families, Kionne let me tell his story from the day I met him. Kionne reviewed and
Approve this message.
in September 2021, Kionne moved to State College and was a new student at Park Forest Elementary, where I worked as a school psychologist. When he arrived, the school was notified that Kionne was from Philadelphia and he was in foster care. We quickly learned about Kionne. He loved playing with magnets. His favorite color was green, which was great until we painted his room green, and he promptly decided his new favorite color was blue. Anyway, if you looked outside on the playground at recess, you would probably find him flipping. Kionne had an incredible fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Hall. She quickly noticed some areas where he needed some extra support and asked me to help. As a school psychologist, a big part of my job is figuring out why a student might be struggling and recommending ways to help them succeed. It's a bit like detective work. For a few weeks before Kionne and I even met, I learned all about him by talking to his family, his teachers, and even following him around in class. Then I finally got to introduce myself to Kionne. We spent some time doing one-on-one testing, some big brain games like memory puzzles, building with blocks, and remembering numbers. The final step is writing a report summarizing everything I've learned. Usually that's 20 to 30 pages. So all those all-nighters you're pulling writing college papers, I am right there with you. But here's why it's so rewarding. That report becomes a roadmap for kids. This way, if a student moves to a new school, their new teachers can really get to know them as a whole child right from the start. I also just make sure that nothing is missed for kids. And in Kionne's case, that's exactly what happened. His report card showed 148 absences and 51 tardies from kindergarten through fourth grade. He also had 50 more missed days because of the COVID-19 pandemic in third grade. He completed fourth grade online with little help. No wonder fifth grade felt so hard. He was never given the opportunity to learn the concepts we were asking him to build on. It took months of phone calls to track down Kionne's medical records. As a millennial, I faced a big challenge. How to use a fax machine? After much trial and error, I finally received 107 pages of medical records for Kionne. I took him straight to our wonderful school nurse, Gwen Decker. After reviewing the entire record, Nurse Decker told me when Kionne was almost 4 years old, he was diagnosed with Burkitt's leukemia. Burkitt's leukemia is a highly aggressive form of cancer that originates from the B cells. The record said that Kionne had intensive multi-agent chemotherapy for 8 months, which tackled the rapid tumor growth. One thing that Kionne remembers about this was getting a port put in his chest where the needle was inserted for each treatment session. Nurse Decker was a huge cheerleader for me through our foster care journey, and she loved Kionne so much. Sadly, after her own long and courageous battle with cancer, she passed away last month. After learning his history, I made sure Kionne's cancer survivorship was documented in his evaluation report, so if he ever changed schools, they wouldn't have to start all over like we did. We also got him academic support through an individualized education program, an IEP, and Kionne then began working with phenomenal special educators. Even though our official work was done, Kionne stopped by my office almost every day for the rest of the school year, sometimes for a snack, and sometimes just to say hi and do origami together. Although things at school were going well, in February 2022, Kionne's foster care placement decided they were no longer pursuing permanent legal custody and he needed a home. I probably wasn't supposed to, but I called Kionne's social worker. I couldn't let this kid move again. That's when I learned that the county where a child enters foster care is responsible for their placement decisions. For Kionne, that meant that he would be moving back to Philadelphia, and it would be happening in less than 4 months at the end of the school year. After school that day, I went straight to Mrs. Hall's classroom to share the news. We sat there heartbroken, contemplating what this upheaval would mean. I couldn't shake a quote that I had read online by Josh Shipp. Every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story. I knew then what I had to do. So I stepped into the hallway outside Mrs. Hall's classroom and I called my husband Dylan. He picked up the phone and I blurted out, "Hey, can I bring a kid home?" Without hesitation, Dylan said, "Sure, how old are they?" And that's when I knew our lives would change forever. After quite literally hundreds, maybe thousands of pages of paperwork and signatures, several background checks each, hours of interviews with our friends, families, and bosses, and countless home visits and inspections, it was the last day of school in June 2022. I hugged Kionne on the playground before he got on the bus to his previous home. At 3:30 p.m., when teachers were let out, I drove home and arrived at my house at the exact same time that Kionne pulled up with the social worker. I got out of my car, ran to him on the driveway, and that is the moment that Kionne became our son. He was scheduled for his first appointment in November 2022. I had to work that day, so Dylan and Kionne took a road trip to the hospital. It was a long day filled with blood tests, scans, and a lot of waiting. Finally, the doctors confirmed that Kionne has been in remission since 2016. I was definitely familiar with THON, but it still didn't register that Dylan was saying they were signing us up to be a Four Diamonds family. That December, we got a phone call asking if we would like to be adopted by an organization called Zeta Beta Tau. Knowing just how much caring adults can make a difference in a child's life, I said yes as fast as I could. It was our first ever THON weekend as a Four Diamonds family. Kionne asked to bring one of his friends, and so I agreed to take 2 preteens to THON by myself. We're gonna pause right there. I was 27. I had only been parenting for a few months, and I thought, yeah, I got this. I did not got that. Kionne will probably cringe when I tell this story, but we had just gotten into the BJC and we were trying to locate CBT in the stands without getting separated between preteens and myself. And so I was holding hands with Kionne and his friend, who both did not want to be seen holding hands with me. And I suddenly realized we were walking behind a group of guys and their teachers all said Kionne on their backs. So I excitedly ran up to one of them and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, we're looking for you!" And he was very confused, of course. He had just approached a total stranger, enthusiastically informed him that I was looking for him, and expected that to make sense. I realized my mistake and I pulled Kionne's hand forward and I said, "We're Kionne! I mean, this is Kionne!" Because nothing says smooth social interaction like referring to yourself in the third person as your son. But after a few moments, the confusion cleared and the guys immediately recognized Kionne. They scooped him up into the most enthusiastic welcome, cheering, hugging him, high-fiving him like they had known him for years. In that moment, I saw what it meant to be paired with a THON organization like CBT. Every person standing here this weekend, you are the people who show up for my son, celebrate him, and make sure that he never, ever feels alone. As a brand new foster family and everything that had to line up in such a short period of time, it couldn't have been anything but magic that made it all happen. Since then, we've gotten the chance to meet Tri Sigma, CBT's parent sorority, and to the amusement of the other teachers at my school, we are at the frat house almost every other week during the school year. Sigma have hosted so many events for us, like a surprise party for Kionne's birthday, pumpkin painting, making gingerbread houses with our neighbors, holding fancy galas where Kionne gets to wear these cool item shoes, and so much more. If we aren't with them in person, I get texts almost daily that remind me just how much support we have, not just for Kionne, but for our whole family. We got to experience it all with Dylan and my sister Elena, who graduated from Penn State last spring and is now in Pensacola, Florida, training to be a naval flight officer. Truly, there are no words to express the depth of our gratitude for Four Diamonds, for all of you, for the opportunities that THON, CBT, and Tri Sigma are giving to Kionne. For him to have fun, for him to just be a kid, and for him to fully enjoy his childhood. Over this past summer, we finally became an official family when Kionne was adopted on July 26, 2020. His teachers, his friends, our neighbors, our extended family, they all showed up to the courtroom or watched live via Zoom as Kionne's adoption papers were signed. The judge looked around and said, "This is the most people I have ever seen at an adoption hearing yet." To raise a child. And this village, his team of educators at school, the THON community, CBT and Tri Sigma, all of you, everyone has stepped up to support our family. We can't begin to tell you how much it means to be paired with our organizations. For every person who sent Kionne motivational messages when he switched schools, put together snacks for our drives to Hershey, or showed up for him in his gymnastics competitions. We belong to something magical. Something that makes a well-deserving kid feel seen, supported, and treasured. I get an indescribable feeling whenever we are with CBT and Tri Sigma. When I look around at this community, celebrating my son, and the tremendous joy on his face, I know that THON is a home for hope because of all of you. I often think about being a freshman at Penn State, excitedly asking, what is a THON at orientation? Then once I figured that out, I remember excitedly running into the BJC for my first ever THON in 2014. That year, the theme was redefined for possibilities. The possibility that I would co-parent the best teenager in the universe with my best friend before I turned 30, not what I imagined. But since meeting Kionne, it is so clear to me there are endless possibilities that have been redefined. The psychologist Jerry Bronfenbrenner once said, every child needs at least one adult who is irrationally crazy about them. So look around the BJC for me. Look to your left. Look to your right. This arena is full of adults who are irrationally crazy about Kionne. Am I right, THON family? I love you, buddy.